I'd like to welcome everyone here. A quorum being present, I'll call the meeting to order. We're very pleased to have two new board members today, Paul Christina and David Gaines. And I'll let each of them introduce themselves. So I'll start with David. How about you?
Sure. Great, thank you. I'm excited to be here. My name is David Gaines. I'm the Deputy City Manager for the City of Denton. Became deputy with the city a few months ago. Previously, I was the Assistant City Manager and CFO for the city. I've been with the City of Denton for this is my fourth year. So currently over engineering, transportation, a number of departments that make a lot of sense for me to serve in this role, and I'm excited to get to know everybody.
Thank you. Welcome. And then Paul Christina.
Good morning. My name is Paul Christina, and I am serving as the interim CEO here at DCTA as of April the 1st. By way of career background, started at DCTA November 15th, and prior to that was an Air Force officer, civil engineer, then did some work in consulting and worked for BNSF Railway before joining the agency, like I said, back in November. So glad to be here. Thanks for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is public comment. This provides an opportunity for citizens to address the board of directors on any agenda item or other matters relating to North Texas Municipal Corporation. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address any items. Anyone wishing to speak shall be courteous and cordial. Any person who wishes to address the board of directors regarding any items may do so by either completing a request to speak card located in the DCTA administrative offices prior to the meeting, or if participating virtually by utilizing the raise hand function, ensuring when called upon, your camera is turned on and your name displayed. Citizens that are not able to connect to the Zoom meeting must email his or her public comments to sspell@ntmc.com no later than 12 p.m. on Tuesday, April 26, 2022 to ensure their comment will be read. With that, I would ask Mr. Spell, do we have anyone who's raised their hand?
No, sir, not at this time.
And has anyone sent in a card?
No, sir.
All right, it appears then that there's no one that wishes to speak at this time. So I'll move on from the public comment section to the next item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. It's to approve the minutes of January 26, 2022 and March 2nd, 2022. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
No, sir, there were not.
There are no corrections, then the minutes will stand approved as prepared. The next item on the agenda is informational reports. And we have a number of financial statements and the budget for the upcoming year. Is there a staff member that wants to address either of those items?
Not at this time on the monthly financial statements prepared for the
Okay, the last item there is under the fiscal year 23 budget calendar. Help educate me, when will we really start working on our budget?
we started. We met with DCTA staff, and we provided the information that was requested of us approximately 2 weeks ago. And so we're in that process now, and then we'll have some budget meetings coming up with DCTA here in the near future and progress from there.
All right, thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is the presentation of the general manager's report. Mr. Pearl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first one is the mask mandate update. Due to a federal judge ruling in Florida, the Transportation Security Administration, as of April 18th, no longer enforce the security directives and emergency amendment requiring mask use on public transportation and at its hubs. With that, DCTA and NTMC staff met on April 19th to discuss the mandate not being enforced anymore. And after some discussion, it was determined by everybody that the masks will be optional going forward. So that was put in all of the vehicles as well as on the website. And the other information that was previously on the buses was taken down as well. We also opened up the DDTC downtown as of Monday, so that's open and available for the public use now. Fixed route service modifications. This was last month on March 14th. Fixed route bus operators were trained on the new routes prior to implementation. There were segment revisions to connect routes 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7, and connect route 5 is a newly formed route. UNT service was decreased from March 14th to March 18th due to spring break and resumed on March 21st. And then now we're progressing into, we'll have a bid this coming Sunday, and that'll be starting on May 16th. We'll start a new bid for the summer. So that's progressing along, and we'll get that completed. NTMC employee positions. I know Cameron has been very aggressive about this, and her and Jarrell just have been doing a phenomenal job of calling people, potential employees, and having interviews. I know that there are at least 5 to 7 interviews a week. We just run into the same issues that a lot of other employees or employers have, where either they don't show or it's just not enough money at this point for them to make a move and become employed. We did, however, hire office coordinator on March 7th, and she's been doing a phenomenal job for us. And we're really impressed by her work, and she's been doing very good. So the employees that we have hired have been good employees, and we're continuing to progress in that area to fill all the open positions. Wanted to talk a little bit about internal procedures. Item number.
Before we
Yes.
go on, can I ask a question about the jobs that are still open?
Sure.
What are those positions that you're finding challenges with competitiveness on pay?
A lot of bus operators. In speaking with Cameron, she's had a couple of comments come back. It's just not enough money to make a move over to that.
Mm-hmm.
Dispatch has been a little on the low side as well at the MSRs,
Mhm.
customer service reps. We're just trying to find different avenues to promote the company aside from that, but it's general across the board.
Who are you primarily competing against in the pool for hiring in those roles, do you think?
For bus operators,
All the bus operators, dispatchers, customer service reps, who do you think you're competing against?
I wouldn't be able to speak to that. Cameron might have more information and speak to that more clearly than I could. I couldn't tell you right now
Okay.
who that would be.
We talked previously in just a working meeting about the idea about laying out full complement of benefits, the pay plus the health insurance and all that sort of stuff. Is that something that she's working on?
Yes, she did work on that, complete that. We do have a spreadsheet that does denote if the employee takes different categories
Okay.
of the benefits, what that does mean per hour. But a lot of them still look at what is it that I make per hour, not what my insurance benefits are. But
Understood.
while in the interviews, we do push that
Okay.
and promote that.
Is that something you can share with DCTA once it gets finalized and wrapped up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, be more than willing to.
When do you think that might be?
As soon as I get back to the office today, we'll share it.
Thank you.
A follow-up question, is pay something you want to look at during the budget process? Is that when we'll have those discussions and look at the competitiveness and trying to attract folks, or is that something you need to look at mid-year?
Since we're coming up on the budget discussion, it would be the prime time to do that. So I think now we have our set budget. We'd have to look at if there are any avenues, talk with DCTA, is that something that we can do still within our current budget about increasing wages? If not, then we'll definitely discuss that as we proceed through the budget process with DCTA.
Yeah, I'd say whatever support you can provide, like obviously the summary comparison you're working on about total compensation is part of it, but if you've got facts on these positions been posted for this long, we have this many applicants, we got this far with this many people, and then we're told no, like just as much of that documentation and backup you can provide would be helpful.
Yep. And Cameron and Jarrell keep very good track of that, so we would be able to provide that fairly quickly.
Great, thanks.
In that line, what's your sense for what the compensation would need to be as compared to what it is?
I believe that's something that we can discuss in comparing that to other transit systems and what they've seen as being successful. Is it a hybrid model? Is it something that, is it go into the hourly wage, or is that something that is more retention? It's just looking at other transit systems. I think we do some investigative work, find out what the best process is that's worked at other transit systems and try to model after that. Also taking into consideration the market that we're currently in Denton. So I think we've got some work to do in order to fully answer that and address that.
Thanks, Maurice.
Sure. Internal, internal procedures. We obviously have, it's springtime, so every spring there's always a lot of detours and a lot of road work going on. So just want to advise the board that we are looking at internal procedures, how we operate, and making sure that the communication gets out to the public through rider alerts, as well as having internal memos. So we have a detour board that has been installed right next to dispatch. So if there is any detour, that's posted there, and it's a big sign up there. So we're just starting, we're not starting, we're looking at what else we can do to make it the communication more feasible and address any issues that we've seen in the past, and make sure that the communication is open to the bus operators, more clearly defined rider alerts. So I think we've come a long way in the past month as far as rider alerts and getting those out on time and having the correct wording. Obviously working with DCTA on the rider alerts as well, but again, just looking at the internal procedures and what we can do better internally. We're also going through our standard operating procedures, our SOPs, and updating those as well. Any questions on that? I'll move on to service metrics. February ridership for Connect, 9,023. And this is on page 22, what I'm looking at. UNT, 102,098, paratransit or access service, 1,654. March ridership for Connect went up by just over 700 to 9,753. UNT, 102,799, and paratransit, 2,203. Our on-time performance for February for Connect, we almost got 80%. UNT 85%, access 97.5. For March OTP, we went up on Connect to 82%, up on UNT service at 87, and access up just 0.2% to 97.7. So
And what do those percentages indicate?
our on-time performance.
On
where-
time.
Yes, where we're at according to our paddles, and we've been really operations has been doing a great job. Our dispatch team, operations manager has been doing a great job, as well as the operations supervisors of monitoring that. So we've seen some success in that, obviously with the increase in the on-time performance percentage increases. So we'll continue to do that and monitor that.
Or it's actually a question there.
Sure.
What do you think are the biggest obstacles to further improving on-time performance? What are the biggest challenges you're trying to overcome?
A lot of what we see, road construction has got a lot to do with that. Where we've encountered a lot the past month, and that has decreased our on-time performance for Connect and for UNT. We're engaged, we're fully engaged from operations up to operations manager, assistant general manager, myself. We're all engaged, Sean and his team as well, and monitoring on-time performance. So really a lot of the construction has a lot to do with that, but we're looking at it. Is there anything that we can do better at the union to make sure that the buses take off on time? So we're constantly reviewing and making sure that we're trying to fill those gaps in and make sure the buses get out on time.
Got it. What is your target for on-time performance, or what's your aspirational goal?
Typically, these are pretty good for public transit. To Connect is. Would like to see that go up to about 85%. 87 would be a good goal for us.
Okay.
Obviously, if we could get to 90, it would be excellent, but I like to go in increments and set the bar up as we get closer to that, and then we go up to the next step. UNT, I think we'd like to have 100% on that every time, but considering the road construction and some of the delays that we encounter out there, 90% would be a good number for that as well.
Okay. In that 90%, in your experience, that's more typical across in places you've been previously?
Typically, usually they're lower. It depends on like the construction, depends on how engaged staff is with that, but the percentages for what we're looking at for March is pretty good, but and I can get a report through APTA that will define that a little bit more and share that with the board next month.
I'd be interested in that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would also be helpful to see more of a history than just February, March, and kind of go back over a year and see how that fluctuates. And as far as construction, I certainly agree. There's a lot of road construction going on in Denton. Do you know what construction is going on, and can you plan for that in advance, or is that a communication improvement we can make?
We get the information sometimes upfront, a lot of times, and I say a lot. What usually happens is that it moves. So we have to adjust accordingly, and then if there's a water break or something else goes on, that's just a pop-up, and we just have to adjust and work with that accordingly. But if we know about it in advance, then we plan for it. If it affects UNT service, we work through Troy on the detours and make sure that that's communicated, rider alert. So we try to anticipate as much as possible in those detours, but we still get caught off guard.
Well, it's just one piece of it, but as far as city projects, city issues that come on from the city of Denton, we can ensure that you're in the know on anything that comes up and ensure that communication is constant. So we can sure we have that.
Appreciate that. Any other questions regarding?
On your service metrics, what, in which categories does those numbers fall?
We don't keep track of that. That would be a DCPA information from them.
Okay, so they're doing 100% of those.
Yes,
We don't get that.
correct. Our overtime year to date is 14%. It has increased. It was at 10%. We had an increase in wages, so that according to the union agreement, so that increased it. So it'll be probably 3 or 4 months before that goes back down again. And we're steady about 10 to 11%, which is what our goal would be, is around 10% overtime. For collisions, in February, we had 0 preventable collisions and 2 non-preventable collisions. March, 1 preventable and 2 non-preventable. And anytime that there is a preventable collision, our bus operators are retrained prior to going back into service or soon after going back into service, according to their schedule. And just briefly on the budget, we're currently under budget, and we continue to hire for positions. And like I said, Cameron and Jarrell are really being aggressive with that and getting a lot of interviews going. Wellness committee, for that, I'd like to defer that to Louise, and she can talk about the wellness committee and the update on that. Louise?
Good morning, everyone. We have started, we're very excited to start our new wellness program. We will be having our first committee meeting on Wednesday, May 4th, just to engage all our employees with and promote or implement wellness to improve their health and the mental, physical state. I know before they was talking about a wellness program, hopefully we can accommodate that, and it'll help with maybe when it's time to do our benefits, look at it, maybe we could get better rates, put all of our staff and operators in a better health, physical and mental state, you know, to make some adjustments and making everybody healthy. The healthier you feel, the mental, physical, the better your mindset is. So it goes all around the board. And that is it. Any other questions for me?
And to go along with that, we've been discussing internally as well as working with health provider on some incentives. So we're working on that, what we can do based on the budget that we have. So we plan on having several initiatives kicking in, and hopefully we'll have those kicked in the next month or two. So getting to number 8, this is passenger vignettes, or it's I go out, I ask 4 very general questions. I try to make sure when I ask those 4 questions, it's the same 4 questions, that they're not leading, but just want to get what the public thinks about the Connect service that they ride. So the questions that are asked are, where do you live in the community? How often do you ride? Let's see. What do you think about the current service? And then what would you change about the service? So those are the 4 questions that I ask. And I've done this in different properties that I've been at, and it just brings the public to the board, and they're notified in advance that they're being recorded, and that that it'll be shown here at the board meeting. But I always find it interesting, and I really meet a lot of great people doing that. And going forward, I know Paul and I want to do this together collaboratively, so we'll set something up for next month for that. But we'll start with our first passenger.
Walmart.
So a couple of times a
I
week?
go to Walmart a lot. Yes.
A couple of times a week, would you say?
Yes.
Okay. In what area of the city do you live in?
I live on 1400 in East University Drive.
Okay. And would you change anything about the current fixed route service?
I wish I could have the services on my number 4 on Mingo Road, because it's right behind where I live.
Mhm.
And now, if I want to catch either 5 or 4, I have to go all the way up to University Avenue and cross the avenue to go catch the bus. And my doctor suggested me to go to Access bus services because my legs are limited.
Mhm.
I can fall on the avenue and get hurt seriously because traffic
Understand.
is very heavy.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. And guys, do better job next time. Walmart.
All right. So can I get your name? Meredith.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Maurice. And we're just asking a couple of questions regarding fixed route service. So how often do you ride fixed route service?
Every day.
Every day. What part of the city do you live in?
I live over near Mr. Johnson's in
There you take. Okay. Would you change anything about the service?
I think that there needs to be more stops added. It's pretty inaccessible the way it is now. It's pretty gutted compared to when I last lived here a couple years ago. That's the main thing that I would change. Would be definitely adding in more stops to make it more accessible. The drivers have been really cool. It's been so far compared to like dark. I will say I know that I've heard and seen a couple of things myself as far as like the Go system being implemented as a replacement. I don't think it's a very effective replacement.
All right. So can I get your name?
Regarding like scheduling and traffic safety, I myself have seen incidents where the Go drivers don't seem to adhere to the same safety rules. I have currently not, I mean, knock on wood, I haven't seen any of that with the drivers of the fixed route system. The fact that the fixed route, like you're able to actually figure out like where you need to be in the mornings as opposed to with the Go system where it's kind of just like you should be kind of in this general area and somebody might show up. It's a lot more, less reliable, and I really enjoy the fixed route system because even though it does seem longer, you do know exactly where to be doing it. So it's a lot easier to navigate the city long term. You get a feel for like which roads and which routes go where. It's a lot easier to figure out compared to the Go system. But that's my own soapbox I could get on. So, but yeah,
All right,
that's my thoughts.
appreciate that. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Of course. Thank you very much. Regarding
Okay, can I ask what your name is?
My name is Maricela Enriquez.
Marcella, nice to meet you. Maurice.
Nice to meet you too.
And we're asking a couple of questions. I've got 3 questions for you. So how often do you ride the fixed route service?
Like 3 times a day.
Three times a day?
And every 3 days a week.
Yeah. And how, what part of the city do you live in?
Denton.
In Denton? Okay. Would you change anything about the service? You wouldn't change anything about the fixed route service? No? Like, okay. Well, appreciate your time and thank you very much. Would
I'm
you-
very confused. That last one question.
Would you change anything about the fixed route service?
Right, much lower. To pay like for a week, can I get one
Oh,
car?
the fare?
Yes.
Okay,
One week, no every day.
gotcha, a
And
different
then-
fare
and then
system.
Yes, and then sometimes they say AM and PM.
Mhm.
I use it in AM, it's in the morning, and then after 1, 2, no more, because it's AM. So I have to pay again, that's not right.
Okay. All
You
right,
see, it's simple.
simple, very good. Thank you for your input, appreciate it.
And with the passenger vignettes, I mean, you get there's a lot of different perspectives out there, and some everything's going fine. Just a fair structure comment, fixed route service goes on. So it whatever they want to discuss is just an open book, and sometimes it's regarding our bus operators as well. So just want to make sure that it's out there, and we don't change anything up on what we're asking of them. But, I think it's important.
Yeah, I've commended you in just other discussions. I'll commend you here publicly for taking the initiative to do this. I think it's really important for us to be dialed in to the people who use the service, because that's ultimately why we exist. And so thank you for that. And yes, let's definitely schedule so that I can go along next time and see what else we could do to help the production get better and better. Yes.
It's live. So, and we were down at the DDTC, so we have buses coming by and other passengers talking. So sometimes I try to pull them away from that, but if they're trying to catch a bus, I'm on their time frame a lot of times. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yes, it will get better.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for doing that. I appreciate it. We won't change the host, that's for sure.
All right. With that concludes the GM report.
In regards to ticket sales, how are those looking?
I would have to, I've looked at them, and I unfortunately did not remember the sales numbers. And, if I could get that back to you, information back to you, and review that and make sure that gets back to you on the ticket sales.
Okay, I neglected to print that out. That's why I was asking. Alrighty then. The next item is staff spotlight.
and James on.
Hello, everyone. I'm James, the maintenance manager. This is Tim Bishop. He's our second shift lead mechanic. Tim has worked for the company for I think almost 18 years. He's been with us for a long time, and he's just a really really reliable mechanic. He knows what he's doing. I can always count on that when I assign him tasks. Him and the other mechanics on his shift are gonna get the task done. The buses are gonna get fixed, and they're going to be ready to run the next day. When I get calls from Tim after, because he works the late shift, he's always aware of what's going on the shift, and always gives a good report of what's going on. And I can, like I said, I can just trust that with Tim leading the shift at nights, that it's going to go well and that everything's going to get done that needs to get done. So I can really count on him, and I really appreciate Tim's service for NTMC and for DCTA. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Thomas. I'm facility manager, and George Flowers has been with us since December. And once George was hired, he came on and recommended products that improved our cleaning products and everything. George is very reliable, dependable, stepped in right away during the inclement weather, helped out, and cross-trained over in the fuel island section. George has a positive attitude and willing to help out, and very observant on cleaning and thorough.
Okay, thank you, and we appreciate the hard work of Mr. Bishop and Mr. Flowers. Congratulations to each of you. Next item on the agenda would be to convene an executive session. I don't believe there are any scheduled items for this agenda. Ask Mr. Garfita if there's anything that you're aware of that we need to go into executive session on.
No executive session items.
All right. Next item then on the agenda would be future board meetings and agenda items. Are there any particular future agenda items that any of our board members would like to see on our agendas? The next meeting will be May 25th, 2022.
Mr. Chairman, would like to ask the board members if does this day of the week and time, is that beneficial for everybody? Just wanted to open that discussion. If there's a better day or time of the week that would work better. Just make sure that we have everybody here. It's convenient for everybody.
It's about as good as any day for me, but I'm flexible.
Yeah, Wednesday works well with me. If it's easier to get folks here at 8:30, that would be fine with me. 8 is fine as well. So.
Yeah, same. I've already got it blocked on the calendar. If an 8:30 start makes it better for people.
Yeah, I think either. I think we backed it up to maybe help accommodate Sarah Hensley's schedule, but I guess maybe send an email out to the other two board members and ask them if they prefer a later start time. A later start time.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see it go too much later than 8:30 start, but.
Yeah, 8:30 would be the latest for me, but 8:30 can work.
Thank you.
Anything else for future board agenda items? If not, then that brings us to adjournment. If there's no objection, then we'll adjourn. Not hearing any objection, then the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.